Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're stepping back in time to the truly fascinating era of the Chalukya dynasty. This was a period that marked a real golden age in the history of southern India. But we aren't just going to rehash standard political history today. The sources we're diving into actually dismantle some massive historical stereotypes about women in the ancient and medieval world. Let's dig right in and uncover a story of phenomenal power, wealth, and vision.
When we think of ancient monumental architecture, massive stone temples, complex hydraulic engineering, sprawling city infrastructure, it is incredibly easy to fall into the modern assumption that these were exclusively male domains, right? We tend to picture male kings commanding male architects who managed male laborers. But what if I told you that some of the greatest master builders, patrons, and governors of the Deccan plateau were actually women?
To see how this all unfolded, we just need to look at our timeline. We'll be traveling from the time of the early Chalukyas of Badami, around 740 CE, all the way through to the later Chalukyas of Kalyani, reaching a true golden age of endowments in the 11th and 12th centuries. And during this vast expanse of time, women didn't just exist quietly in the background. They actively governed territories, managed incredible wealth, and oversaw massive megaprojects that are still standing today.
Section 1. The Royal Summit. Queen Lokamahadevi's Monumental Vision.
Let's start at the absolute peak of Badami Chalukya society with one seriously extraordinary ruler. Around 740 CE, Queen Lokamahadevi commissioned the vast Virupaksha Temple at Pattadakal. It's the largest, most sophisticated monument in the entire complex. Now, while it was built to commemorate her husband King Vikramaditya II's 3 military victories over the Pallavas, make no mistake, this was absolutely her project. In fact, early inscriptions even refer to it as the Lokeshwara Temple, named directly after her.
The epigraphic record shows she was a remarkably hands-on manager. She literally governed a territory called Kurultakumte, proving she was highly educated and capable in administration. For this specific temple project, she actively managed the finances, she granted land to the temple musicians to ensure their ongoing prosperity, and she even exempted the builders from taxes to incentivize their hard work. Actually, scratch the idea of her just being a royal figurehead, she was essentially the ultimate project manager of a massive construction site.
She also had the authority to hire and honor the absolute elite among architects. Her chief architect for the temple was a man named Gunda, and she honored him with the grand title of Periyajepu Pata. Another master architect, who worked on the southern part of the temple, Sarvasi the Achari, was praised as the Pitamaha, or the grandfather, of architecture. She was the one directing these legendary craftsmen.
Now you might be wondering, was she just a one-off anomaly? Well, no. It was deeply systemic within the Chalukya power structure. Take the number 6, for example. Fast forward a bit to Chalukya King Vikramaditya VI. All 6 of his wives were given responsibilities as provincial governors. Women at the royal summit were fully expected to lead, administer, and build. Section 2. The Noble Philanthropist. Attimabbe's Unmatched Legacy. As we move slightly down the hierarchy to the nobility, we find phenomenal financial power outside the direct royal throne. Just think about this staggering statistic, 1,500. After the death of her husband, who was a military commander, a noblewoman named Attimabbe devoted herself entirely to the Jain faith. She used her immense wealth to single-handedly commission 1,500 Jain shrines across the kingdom. I mean, the logistical and financial power required to execute 1,500 architectural projects is almost beyond comprehension for a single individual in the 11th century. Her greatest surviving project is the magnificent Brahma Jinalaya temple in Lakkundi, built around 1007 CE. Lakkundi was a major stronghold of Jainism at the time, and this temple is widely considered one of the absolute finest examples of Kalyana Chalukya architecture. It's incredibly famous for its use of chloritic schist, which is this highly workable stone that allowed the sculptors to create exquisitely delicate, almost impossibly detailed carvings. The sheer scale of her philanthropy earned her the legendary title Danachintamani, which essentially translates to a jewel among donors. But here's the thing, she didn't just build stone temples, she preserved knowledge. She funded the creation of 1,000 manuscripts of the Jain text, the Santi Purana, and offered shelter and patronage to the highly renowned Kannada poet Kavi Rana. By combining architectural mega-projects with literary endowments, she practically transformed Lakkundi into a vibrant cultural hub all on her own.
Section 3. The Grassroots Engineers. Everyday Women and Hydraulic Engineering. Okay, it is very easy to look at queens and ultra-wealthy nobles and think, well, of course they had power, they had all the money. But the real emotional core of this explainer lies in a fascinating divide. While royal women were funding monumental stone temples and massive land grants, everyday women were pooling their resources to fund crucial, life-saving secular infrastructure. We're talking about stepwells, known as baldi, village ponds, tanks, and feeding homes for ascetics. In the parched agricultural lands of the Deccan Plateau, this was literally a matter of life and death. And this brilliantly illustrates that empowerment actually cascaded down through all social strata. Epigraphical records reveal that women with incredibly humble origins retained full property rights. For instance, we have inscriptions of a grand matriarch and laywoman named Bodhisiri financing construction. We even have a record from 1083 CE detailing a maidservant named Makkabe who was dedicated to a temple by another lady, showing these really complex social and financial interactions at the grassroots level. They had the total autonomy to bestow grants and build public utilities.
But sometimes, the contribution wasn't just financial, it was a profound personal sacrifice. To anchor this emotionally, we really have to look at the stories etched into traditional hero stones scattered across Karnataka, which documented extraordinary acts for the community. There's an account of the construction of a vital water tank in Akkanalu village. The tank completely failed to yield water, which immediately threatened the survival of the entire community.
According to the historical accounts recorded on these stones, Chennamma, the eldest daughter-in-law of the village chief, stepped forward. She offered her own life as a sacrifice to the water goddess to save her village. The legend says her supreme devotion pleased the goddess, and water violently gushed forth, flooding the area and saving the village, though Chennamma lost an arm in the sudden torrent. Because of her ultimate sacrifice for the community's water infrastructure, she was deified and worshipped locally as Tholgai Chennamma, the water goddess. It's a stark, powerful reminder of just how intimately tied women were to the physical survival of their communities.
Section 4. Empowerment etched in stone, the enduring legacy of Chalukya women. Bringing all these threads together reveals a legacy literally etched into stone across southern India. Let's review our key takeaways here. From the towering stone spires of the Virupaksha Temple to the humble, life-saving waters of the village stepwells, it is a single, unified story. It shows a society where women across all classes maintained financial autonomy and property rights. They governed territories directly, preserved massive literary works for future generations, and managed the very hydraulic engineering that kept their civilization alive. It completely shatters the illusion that ancient women were mere spectators to history. So I want to leave you with this final thought. If women like Queen Lokamahadevi, the philanthropist Attimabbe, and the heroic Chennamma commanded such immense power, wealth, and community reverence over 1,000 years ago, what other lost histories of female empowerment are just waiting to be unearthed beneath our feet? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer, and keep questioning the history you've been taught.